Hey students, this is an orientation video for my online classes. So no matter if you're in one of my fiction classes or poetry or introduction to lit, I'm talking to you if you are fully online. So that said, I really just kind of wanted to go over some of the basics of Canvas and also the syllabus. Yes, you do have to read the syllabus, but certainly I want to just touch on a couple of things. So let me just pull this up. Um, Okay, so here is a syllabus, and again, if you're not enrolled in this particular class, it's okay, I'm still talking to you. A couple things I want to just briefly point out is on the books, whatever books you're getting for the class, please be sure you get the right edition. A lot of times students want to buy the older editions because you can get them for a lot cheaper, and the reality is that the newer editions, the page numbers don't match up, there's additional chapters, and there's different readings. So you'll want to be really careful with that. If you are thinking to yourself that you can't afford the books, you can make time to go to the library. I know in the Rancho library, I have copies of all of the books for my class that you can go and check out those books. So there's always a way to obtain your books. If you are going to order your books from an online distributor, you need to get them overnighted or 2-day. You cannot wait till the second or third week to get your hands on the books because you're going to miss out on a lot of stuff. On the front page of every one of my syllabi, I have my information, so the best way to get a hold of me is via email. Hi, by the way, I'm Vicki Tulacro. So you can call me Vicki, you can call me Professor Tulacro. Please don't call me Victoria, and don't call me Mrs. Tulacro. Both of those names make me cringe. But just so you're aware, my email address is to victoria.tulacro@chaffey.edu. So please be sure that you spell all of that correctly. You can also email me directly from Canvas, so just be aware that that exists too. I do have an office on campus. It's in the Rancho, on the Rancho campus up in the Language Arts building. It's right in the courtyard if you've ever been up there, and it's office 123. And during these days and times, Mondays and Wednesdays 9 to 10, and then Mondays and Wednesdays 12 to 12:30, I'm hanging out in my office available for students. If those times don't work for you to stop by, you can certainly email me and let me know your schedule or your availability, and I will try to work around you. I am often online. I know down here it says office hours, INET, Tuesday through Thursday, 9 to 10:30. I'm online generally more than that since I teach a lot of online classes, so you can get a hold of me. Typically, I email back within about 24 hours. If you don't hear from me within 24 hours, it's okay to go ahead and send me another email. Sometimes what happens is if you send me an email, let's say from your personal email account, generally it can go into my spam. So I do prefer you to email me from your Panther account, especially if you're talking about something sensitive like grades or you know, what feedback that I've given you perhaps. So anyways, yeah. Let's keep going through a couple of things here. Participation policy. I do want to make it clear that this is an online class, and so you have to check in regularly. In fact, with all of my online classes, I post the new work for the week on Mondays. So if I were you, and I have a feeling that you probably work and you probably have family obligations and you probably have a lot of other things going on in your life, you really need to be organized to take an online class. A lot of times students think that online classes are a lot easier than face-to-face classes. And although it's true that the convenience factor being online is more convenient for a crazy schedule, it's actually the workload, I think, is much more intense than a regular class because you have to do more than just sort of show up and maybe just talk about things. You have to really craft some, you know, discussion board posts plus your work and take quizzes and you're reading alone. And so again, just be aware that if you want to do well in the class, you really should get organized. So make a habit of checking in on Mondays, seeing what all of your work is for the week, what are the due dates, and then make your schedule around that. A lot of my classes have quizzes, and so you'll want to make sure you get the reading done before you do the quizzes. So FYI. Participation policy, so it's really important that you check in often, that you make a routine around those deadlines. It's really, really important that you adhere to those deadlines. Even if you have an emergency, it's still your responsibility to complete all that homework assignment and your quizzes and all of your assignments. So again, you should constantly plan ahead in the course. If you know, for example, that like next week is a crazy busy week for you at work, and you're like, hey Vicky, could I get the homework for next week ahead of time so I could get it done? I have no problem with you getting ahead in this class. Typically, a week is fine. I'm happy to give you for homework and other things ahead of time. But certainly I don't want you to get too far ahead of the class, because I do expect you guys to actually engage with each other. I try to make the online environment as friendly as possible. I try to humanize it. I try not to have like a script. In fact, you'll probably see like one of my cats like run through a video here and there. Like, it happens. I'm a human, you're a human. And so again, I really want you to engage with each other. It is necessary to have regular, consistent access to a computer and the internet. I also would recommend having like a word processing program in order to write essays and stories and whatever else you're required for whichever class. So if you have trouble with Canvas, we do have a help desk at Chafee. That they are typically there during business hours, I believe Monday through Friday, like 7 to 5 or something like that. But we also have an after hours help desk at Canvas if for some reason you get stuck or the system seems to go down. If that were to happen, let's say, and you were trying to post a video or something like that, and you call Canvas and they say, okay, well, the system went down and you need to contact your instructor, make sure you do those things. So it's really important that you stay in good communication with me. Sometimes those things do happen. I haven't had it happen a whole lot with Canvas, unlike others learning management systems. Let's see. So all assignments are going to be due on their dates that are listed. I won't change those dates unless something comes up and I'm giving you more time. So I'm not going to trick you. I'm not going to tell you something's due on Friday and then make it due on Thursday. Again, I try to be really clear and really consistent for the courses. So again, you can plan your life around that consistency. Everyone in the class will have one late pass for the semester, and you can use that on any assignment. There are some exceptions to that. I know some classes like have journals or final presentations or final papers due, and generally the stuff at the end of the semester you can't use a late pass on, and that's just for logistical reasons. I can't get grades done if I'm constantly getting late work in. That said, no work will be accepted after the course is over and after the due date passes. So sometimes students will post something like a discussion board, and the discussion board was due a day or two ago. You'll just earn a 0 for that stuff. So make sure if you do want to use your late pass that you follow the directions on the syllabus. I want you to follow those things, but that's also just so that you are aware that there is a procedure that you have to follow. So make sure you read that in there. Plagiarism, I want to take a second and just briefly touch on that because it's super important in all classes, all English classes, but particularly I've noticed with online courses, sometimes students I think either directly or indirectly, or mistakenly sometimes decide to use somebody else's work and maybe they don't cite it correctly, or perhaps they are panicked about reading something, so they decide to read something else online and then try to put it into their own words and post it as their own. That kind of plagiarism will not be accepted in this class. I take it incredibly seriously, especially a lot of the courses that I teach, creative writing and intro to lit. These are upper courses, and so you should be able to you should be very, very aware of what plagiarism is and how not to do it. And so just again, trying to be on as transparent as possible with you. If you are caught plagiarizing something, whether that be in the discussion board, whether that be in your essays or on your stories or in your poems, not only will you fail the assignment, you can fail the course, and also I will submit an academic sanction against you. So I would be very, very careful. If you're the kind of student that is panicked, let's say, about something, and you're like, oh my gosh, I know that essay's due, and I have no idea where to get started from, ask me. I pride myself on being a really approachable instructor. I really want you to learn from this course, and so I want you not to feel panicked. And if you do, that you reach out to me and you let me know, hey Vicki, I have no idea where to start from. Could you help me? Again, I'm here for you. There's no reason to plagiarize in this course. Sorry, little kitten is knocking things off my bookshelf. So, content disclaimer. I really want you to understand that we're going to be reading texts that contain adult language, adult subject matter. We talk about sex and sexuality and the body a lot in this course, and so I want you to be well prepared for that. If that sounds like something that makes you uncomfortable, perhaps I'm not the instructor for you. I really believe that we have to talk about difficult subjects in order to look at them critically and look at the world around us very critically. I also want you to be aware that I have a really high expectation for my online students in terms of discussing things with each other. I want everyone to be respectful. I want them to be cordial. That doesn't mean we have to lack substance in the class. I don't give credit for responses like, that's awesome, bro. I just don't think that that's like an academic response. You can certainly disagree with someone. Again, I want you to do it in a respectful manner. And I want you to be thoughtful, and I want you to remember that everyone in this class is actually a real human being on the other side of their computer. I think sometimes social media and the internet in general just make us feel like we're sort of in our rooms alone, when really we are talking to real human beings. So I want you to be cognizant of that. At Chaffey College, we have a lot of resources, and I think a lot of students underestimate that, especially like you are likely to have been at Chaffey for maybe a couple of semesters, and you probably feel like you know the ropes. Did you know that we have a tutoring service at all 3 campuses? Did you know that we have disability program and service for students with documented disabilities? We also have a student health services. Let's say you are having, some emotional health problems or mental health problems, or you've had the flu for, a few days and you can't seem to get over it. You've already paid tuition, so you already are entitled to those services for free. So please make sure you use those resources. And they're all listed here for you. If you're about to transfer, if you're one of my students that are about to get out of Chaffey and you're like, I'm not really sure how to do that, check out the GPS Center. They're really good at sort of getting you in touch with the right people and how to make sure that you're on your educational plan. If you are interested in the honors program, you can certainly talk to me about that. I'm happy to steer you in the right direction. Let's see, what else is great on here? Panther Care Program is fantastic because, again, some of you may be dealing with things like food insecurities at your home. Did you know that we provide, food, and we have help in terms of transportation. We also offer some legal services, or we have some resources regarding housing insecurity. So again, we have a wealth of resources for our students because we really believe that well, one, we believe in you, but also we want you to be as successful in college as possible. And sometimes if we can just help you through a challenging moment in your life, we know that you're going to pay us back by doing well in your courses and taking that out into the community in whatever way that you can. So again, if you have any questions on that, or if you have questions in general about how to find a resource that maybe isn't listed, contact me. I'm happy to get you a resource that'll be helpful for you. Make sure that you understand the course learning outcomes in each of the courses. I think sometimes students get a little confused with course learning outcomes, they kind of gloss over because it's a lot of technical language, and the reality is it'll tell you exactly what we're about to do in this course. For example, sometimes students get confused about things like creative writing courses. They just thought it would be like a super fun class where we just like creatively write and you earn an A pretty easily. And the reality is that it's a class full of rigor. We do a ton of reading, we do a ton of writing, we do a ton of critiquing and getting better. And so just make sure you understand that, again, for any of my courses. Also, on all of my syllabi, even if you're not enrolled in this particular course, I've listed out all of the grades and assignment and what's expected. So make sure you read through that pretty thoroughly. Make sure that you understand what's coming up in terms of your grades. So that way, again, like when we get towards, later in the semester, you might be like, okay, what did Vicki say about that final project? You can always refer back to the syllabus. It'll be on the Canvas website for you, so you can constantly go back and check on that. Typically, I don't give extra credit. So don't anticipate that. If I do, it's going to be something that like replaces a quiz. It's not going to be anything that'll like replace a major assignment. So if you do fail to turn in one of the major assignments, like a paper, a story, right, poem, anything that's sort of central to the class, you're probably not going to pass the class. So just be aware, for instance, in Introduction to Lit, there are typically like 4 major assignments for each of the 4 genres that we cover. And let's say you miss that first essay for the short story, you're probably not going to pass the class. So it's just the way that the class is built. You really have to hit all of the cornerstones of the class in order to pass. So again, just make sure you're super clear on that, and that you don't miss those really important deadlines. I'm gonna like weirdly take a drink right now so I can keep talking. I recommend saving all of your classwork throughout the term, especially with an online class. So for instance, like you might go to put something on the discussion board, and typically everything's fine when you post. However, there have been those moments where like the internet blips or your computer dies or something like that. So I recommend like typing up your responses in a word processing program and then copying and pasting it into a discussion board, and then you may even want to save that for later. So or for yourself even as a form of note-taking. Let's see what else is on here. It's super important. Check into the class regularly. Some assignments don't appear on the syllabus. Sometimes I kind of change things around. Sometimes I've made a mistake on the syllabus, and or let's say the class is kind of really into a particular topic or author or genre. Sometimes I'll totally shift things around just based on what the class is asking for more of. So make sure again that you're checking in regularly. Let's see, what else? I think that's all I really wanted to say about the syllabus, again, in any class. Well, there's a picture of me and my kitty. This kitty passed away. But just thinking, as I'm kind of thinking aloud to myself, something I want to show you real quick is, oh, there's a hilarious picture of me. When you're working around Canvas, again, don't be afraid to sort of click on some of this stuff. For instance, if you're like, oh, now my watch is being crazy. Let's say you didn't necessarily want to click on week 1 from here. You kind of wanted to see what week 1 looked like. You could go to modules here and it shows you like all of the pages kind of laid out. So just FYI, there's different ways of moving around Canvas. You can do what feels comfortable for you. We do also offer smart thinking online tutoring. So let's say you wanted to have a tutor go over your essay with you before you turn it in. Give yourself some time to do that. A tutor's not going to get back to you, within a matter of hours, but you do already pay for this service, so you can certainly use that service. I believe all your browsers have to be up to date, so just something to consider. ConferZoom is kind of like a Skype. So a lot of times I will talk to students either via phone or via the ConferZoom. So it's a super easy way to get in touch with students. That is if we have an appointment together. If you click on there, it doesn't mean you're gonna like video call me immediately. It allows you to sort of set up an appointment. Chat is the other thing I want to mention on here. I use chats a lot, sometimes weekly, just depending on the course, but it's kind of like an old school chat room where you log in and you can type questions to each other. So typically when I host a chat, I'll tell students like, hey, tonight at 7 o'clock, I'll be online chatting with you guys. And so if you want to attend, you want to ask questions, maybe we're working on something and you have a ton of questions, or you can just get online and start chatting away with me. This is a public chat, so of course if you have questions about your grade or your assignment specifically, it's probably better to email me. But this is a really great way to discuss stories. This is a great way to discuss literature because we can immediately sort of chat with each other, unlike the discussion board, which it's asynchronous. So you might post something today, but I won't read it till later today or tomorrow even. So I think that's it. Trying to recall all the things I wanted to say. I really, really love my job. I love what I do at Chafee. I try to bring that to every class that I teach. So although online can feel really weird at times, I have to laugh at my own jokes. And although, of course, you're laughing, right, in your room or at school or wherever you are. Like, I imagine you're out there laughing at me, and that's fine. But like, I try to humanize it as much as possible. So I hope that the course is fun for you. I hope it challenges you, and I hope you get something out of it for wherever you're going next in your life. So if you do have questions, comments, concerns, make sure you email me, and let's have a great semester. Bye, you guys.